Sorry for the early 2000s throwback here, but why have you gone and made your life so complicated? Well, as well as paraphrasing Avril Lavigne, we've also recently paraphrased Abraham Maslow and how he encourages us to move away from safety and towards growth, to move towards a healthier and fuller psychology of being. And then more recently than that still, we've taken this further by looking at his being values, those values and traits and characteristics that are commonly experienced across humanity in our best moments. And one of those values was simplicity. So let's take this discussion further with this wonderful little book, Timeless Simplicity by John Lane. This book is full of beautifully written and soulful passages, so I just want to share a few with you in this lesson and then give you a 7-day challenge to see how you can actually put this into practice. In a previous deep dive on technology usage, I compared the idea of digital minimalism with a gardener pruning their garden, and that analogy came from this book, specifically from page 64. So let's revisit it with this quote, and then we're going to start from there. And I'll put the quote on the screen so you can follow it along at the same time as well. I'm going to just start with this green part here and then move on to this part. Simplifying a life means one and only one thing: cutting back on the less essential things and activities to allow more time and space for those which give a deeper nourishment and more fulfilling satisfaction. The process of simplification can be compared to winter pruning, when overgrown shrubs are cut back to encourage later growth. Every gardener knows that a garden cannot flourish without this overhaul. Every psychologist knows that self-realization cannot be achieved within lives overburdened by haste and clutter, the chains of unrewarding work and money worries. It's a lovely little quote, that one. So, the focus here is on pruning and not destroying. What we're doing is we are not aggressively cutting down the garden, and we're not digging up all the plants or bulldozing it over. Instead, what we're doing is we're making tactical little changes to reveal the beauty of what is already there. We're cutting away the 3 branches so that more sunlight can hit a patch of flowers. We're pruning 1 rose stalk so that another 5 can bloom. We're shaping the hedges so that we can put a chair in there and sit in the garden to enjoy it and to appreciate it, to dwell in it and to linger in it, to slow down. So in all of these cases, we've simplified what was already there to allow its natural beauty to emerge. And the most beautiful garden isn't the one with the most flowers in it. It's the one with the healthiest plants and the best cohesion between them, and also the enjoyment of being in the garden itself. So focusing just on more just leads to hoarding. So what we need to do is we need instead to focus on better, because that leads to beautifying and simplifying. So bringing the quote back round to 2 words that were mentioned towards the beginning of it, we could try prioritizing deeper nourishment. How can we maximize the beauty of 2 flowers without needing to buy 10 more? So what little changes to the garden need to be made to allow this to happen? And I'm intentionally talking metaphorically here. So what is the garden that needs pruning in your life at this moment in time? Is it career? Is it technology usage? Is it a romantic relationship, or is it friendships? Is it how you spend your free time? And to bring Maslow back into this, this is why he suggests simplicity as one of his being values. And the book directly discusses his wording when it says, do not suppress what your secret nature demands. So it makes sense that if humans in their best moments refer to the experience of life being simple, then we should do what we can to bring about this timeless simplicity into our everyday lives. Instead of worrying about the future, we're pulled into the present moment. So let's continue with this idea on page 15. So on here, we're going to focus just on this little section. And again, I'll put it on the screen as well. It is to choose to live more mindfully. It is to have direct and wholehearted participation in life. The taste and touch of actual things. The experience of the moment. The delight inherent in creative doing. So we can't talk about simplicity without also talking about being in the moment or being in the flow state. And in that state of mind, we're focused on the actual moment itself. We're not worried about optimizing it or measuring it or trying to possess it or quantify exactly how much enjoyment we're actually experiencing. It doesn't lend itself to language like that because it's about the quality of the experience, not the quantity of the experiences. It tilts towards the depth of the single experience rather than counting up all of those superficial experiences. So in this way, anything can be approached with a mindset of simplicity. We could say that simplicity is less about the things that you own or don't, and more about the attitude that we have towards the world. It's about the eyes that see the world rather than what it is that they are actually looking at. So I love the phrasing in that quote of the taste and the touch of actual things, because it brings us into this moment of what is happening right now. Instead of preparing to live, we're actually living. There's a groundedness in this. I exist right here, right now, and I'm aware of it, and I'm enjoying it. It's a call away from living on autopilot, and it's a refocus on appreciation. And it also links to multiple other being values as well, to bring it back around to Maslow. And we might focus here on aliveness. So it's your sense of vitality in the moment rather than just going through the motions. So vitality here is referring to this felt sense of aliveness. It doesn't necessarily have to be fast-paced and exuberant or flashy. And it's our third quote, which is going to help to flesh this out a little bit more when we consider our relationship to time. So I'm going to quote from page 70 for this one. Again, at length, I'm going to keep it on the screen as well as we go. So, we are living in a world obsessed with time and the urge to shorten it. We are the restless children of a restless civilization. It is difficult for us to imagine that until the 19th century, or even the beginning of the 20th, the prevailing condition of most human settlements was silence and peacefulness. The noises of machinery was absent. The great legacy of the past is its slowness, its patience, its human scale, its measured human pace, and its undisturbed quietness. These remain the sanest objectives of anyone seeking to simplify. I love this. I love everything about this. So, in a world that's only speeding up and becoming more and more obsessed with output, we need to zoom out and see what we're measuring ourselves against. And this has been a big reflection point for me. So, am I progressing at a human pace or at an artificial pace? And technology, that can be optimized to be more accurate and more precise and more efficient and done in less time, but it doesn't necessarily lead to better. If I measure my sense of fulfillment and meaning against measures like efficiency and accuracy, then all I'm going to do is reduce myself down to this second-rate machine. These are artificial measures. They tell me nothing about my humanity and how I connect with the long line of humans that have come before me. And it removes my history and my sense of time and place and how I find myself in these moments. So before long, it's going to start to eat away at my identity, and then bigger existential questions are going to start to emerge. So to link back to the points from before, I want to be appreciating and delighting in the present moment, not preparing to live for the future. And I'm just going to read the ending of that quote again because it's just so practical and it's so encouraging at the same time. So the great legacy of the past is its slowness, its patience, its human scale, its measured human pace, and undisturbed quietness. These remain the sanest objectives of anyone seeking to simplify. So if you also feel like life is just rushing you by, it can be encouraging to realize that most humans haven't lived like this. It isn't a part of the natural condition of humanity, so it's not something that you have to just grit your teeth and put up with. We can actually start to slowly back ourselves out of this artificial corner and start to reclaim slowness and patience, just one step at a time. And I'm not saying this will be easy, but it will be meaningful. And it'll help to realign us with this great legacy of the past. One of timeless simplicity, measured on a human scale. By humans, for humans. So you're not going insane, don't worry, you're just bombarded with information. So what we need to do is we need to slow down first, see what it is that we are actually looking at, and then begin the process of simplifying. So the original question was, why have you made your life so complicated? And the challenge was how to re-simplify it. And that brings us on to the final part of this video, which is a little challenge for you. So here on the screen in a second is a checklist and a series of challenges for you to make all of this practical. So have some fun with it, or swap some things out, and I would genuinely love to know how you get on with this, because I'm constantly trying to simplify my life down to the meaningful essentials. So in the next 7 days, see how many of these 7 things you can manage. Realize in the moment the joy of that experience and stop to intentionally appreciate it. And where could you enjoy something digitally and instead intentionally choose a physical or actual alternative instead? And metaphorically speaking, prune one thing from your inner world to see what naturally emerges. So that might be pruning or cutting back or letting go of a certain thought or judgment or expectation and just seeing what happens. And slow down and spend much longer doing something purely for the sake of slowing down the pace. So don't measure it, as that would go against the intention of the challenge. That would be going back to this artificial way of doing things. Try to spend what feels like 3 to 5 times longer doing something that you would otherwise do, purely for the sake of doing it. And notice how I said there, feels like 3 to 5 times longer. Doesn't matter if it actually is or not. And choose to experience silence for a period. Doesn't have to be long, but just experience the slowness of it. And again, notice how I'm not necessarily there saying enjoy it, but just experience it. And also, choose the most beautiful option over the most efficient option. So that might be a longer commute, or it might be cooking a meal from scratch, or handwriting something rather than typing it, just as a few ideas. But what is the beautiful option over the efficient option? And also notice one specific area of your life that has become unnecessarily complicated and make a determined effort to simplify it. And while we're here, here's a cheeky little bonus one for you as well that I'm trying to challenge myself with. When eating meals alone, don't always watch a video at the same time. The shadow of technology looms over me on a constant basis. It could be a video or a reel or a story, but I found myself increasingly looking at some kind, literally any kind of technology to accompany my meals. So I'm calling this out because although I've done a lot of inner work in this area, I know I've still got a long way to go. So I'm not looking for 100% removal of all these bad habits, but just a more reasonable balance. One that is measured on a human scale at a human pace, to go back to what we said before. Good enough simplicity, if you like. So I hope you enjoyed that little 7-day challenge. And that was book 2 in this little series, which is Timeless Simplicity by John Lane. All right, I'll see you in a future lesson.